Hey, how you doing today? Sunday. It's going to be a new week. I decided to go ahead and jump back to making some videos, and there's a couple other things that I'm going to be working on doing. But today I got a nice little note on my truck. It says, "How the f are you in the hood repping Trump?" So there it is right there, and it's pretty obvious that I guess somebody saw my sticker on the back of the truck, and they saw that I support our president. So first and foremost, the bottom line is when he first came into running, he was fighting an uphill battle. I believe the FISA courts were abused, and there was what we would call a fake dossier that was bought and paid for with Hillary Clinton. And remember, she was a candidate for being president too. Um, but this opposition research was bought and paid for. There was no really like hard factual evidence, but it was used as a means to justify spying on Trump. Long story short. So my thing is, I mean, in the world of politics, yeah, it could be cutthroat or whatever, but um, abusing the government in that manner, I mean, it's completely wrong. Um, that's not how you run to be the next president. So if you consider that, don't do stuff like that. So I'm hoping whoever left the note, maybe we'll see the video. But long story short, I mean, there's no name or number or anything like that. But I'd be more than happy to talk to y'all, whoever, and we could debate, we can agree to disagree, go on with our lives. There's no harm, no foul, right? I like that President Trump, he supports the border wall. Immigration reform is important. I really enjoy that he believes in that, but it, I think there's a misconception going on, that basically the media paints Trump to be this big bad boogeyman, and you know, he he's a dictator tyrant. And the bottom line is, in regards to the border wall, it's going to take away incentives for, the drug cartels, to push all these poisonous drugs across our border, and it'll take away incentives from, human traffickers. Also, some of these crooked employers that actively and intentionally seek to hire illegal immigrants. Um, so this is, it's a lot of things that are important, and this is important for the safety of America. Um, but it's also important for the safety of whoever immigrants may decide to migrate into America, because hey, we can always use um, workers, and I mean, I see no harm being done, but the fact of the matter is that the border wall does work. So there has to be that simple understanding. It does work. You know, Israel has a wall. I think China has a wall. Other countries have a wall. And I think even Hillary Clinton said something to the likes that um, I guess like there was a mess up in the UK or whatever. I can't remember exactly what country she was talking about, but she was basically saying something to the likes that maybe we should have been more stringent. We should have been more serious when it came to um, the sovereignty of a nation, and respecting its borders. So if Hillary Clinton herself is acknowledging that all these open borders are a problem, then it's pretty obvious we have a problem. So $5 billion for a border wall is just a drop in the bucket in regards to um, the money that the government would have available to, fund certain programs. So that's a big deal to me, um, and it's important to me because also, the safety of some of these migrants who may want to come, their safety should be considered as well as the children. So another thing is, I like that the economy is doing a whole lot better. There's plenty of money to be made out here. There's a whole bunch of jobs out here. If you work a job in which you get tips, you may have noticed that, hey, I might be making more tips. So there's a lot more money to go around. And I mean, you can't argue or debate about that, really. And I think it's going to continue to get better and better. Another thing is that, let's see, President Trump, he supports what's called the First Step Act, and it's a what is it? It's a way of having prison reform um, to help some of the people who may be incarcerated kind of get out and start their new life on a better foot. So there may be faith-based based programs. There may be certain educational tools that they can use. So there's a lot of things that can be considered. Did you turn the TV on, son? You didn't turn it on?
Well, it didn't on. Well, it turns off by itself. No, it's still on.
All right. So I mean, anyways, that's that's a very positive move in the right direction. Now let's see. He also did something else. If I could just look into it. Let's see. During his Trump's administration, the Google CEO Sundar Pichai basically was questioned on Capitol Hill for all the Google and their bias that they have, and they're basically calling out these big tech companies that are monopolies for pushing out a lot of these biased stories, and I mean, the bottom line is there is a reason why there is literally so much negativity being projected onto Donald Trump. But we're not in internment camps. People are not getting their heads chopped off. Um, I don't see people getting held by gunpoint by the government through the Trump administration. I don't see people getting, tortured or any of these types of things that are happening that the mainstream media keeps projecting. You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line is the media has an anti-American agenda, and I mean they take it out on Trump. But if it was somebody else in Trump's position who was pro-America, then I believe they would have done it to them as well. So there's a huge bias. There's a huge double standard. It's about as obvious as it can possibly get. So I mean, we got to remember that during the Obama administration, the Democrats and President Obama were able to give Iran $150 billion. And in essence, America didn't really get anything in return. And so if we can find $150 billion for Iran and they chant, and the regime, is basically anti-America, they chant death to America, they're the number one terrorist sponsor of the world. But if Obama's administration can find $150 billion for them, how come we can't find, for example, just a little $5 billion for the safety of our nation with the wall? So can't really argue about that. Um, Here's another thing. Let's see. Donald Trump. He had founded the Opportunity and Revitalization Council, and there was an act that he had signed not too long ago. But a lot of the faith-based Black community leaders worked together, and many other people in the Trump administration had actually literally worked together to kind of craft out this bill in which to invest in the poor communities of America. And I believe basically it's an investment of $800 billion. in these targeted opportunity zones, and it will help a lot in the urban areas of society and also the rural areas of society. So uh, I think the way it works is that the companies will be subsidized in investing in these particular opportunity zones, and this will help um, people in, I guess in the hood and the poorer communities. This will help them a lot to get better jobs. Maybe get a job that'll have some benefits. Maybe get a job where they can, put away in their 401k, get health, dental insurance, where it's actually possible. So that's really important because in regards to America, you know, it's kind of like running a business, and you have to consider the bottom line of the business. And if you're able to raise up the bottom line of a business, then naturally, you're going to get more revenue. Um, so when you can look at America almost kind of like a business. It's a country, yeah, but it could be a business as well with that perspective. But I mean, that's a lot of the reasons, But long story short, I mean, Donald Trump's obviously being treated way unfairly, and he's the nice way of saying it is I think he's facing presidential harassment. Even Nancy Pelosi has came out, called out the media, literally saying, every single she wishes that the media would stop focusing on Donald Trump every single morning, every single afternoon, every single night. It's like 24/7 coverage of negative coverage, and I think it's like 92% of the media, but 24/7 negative coverage of our current president. So if Nancy Pelosi is calling it out, I mean, come on. You literally cannot make it any more obvious. You can't. So, these are a lot of things that should be considered. Um, Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter wrote a letter supporting Trump's endorsed bill, and Martin Luther King Jr., he's very important role model in history, especially in regards to the black community, because his thing was basically judge me by my character and not by the color of my skin. So if his daughter is in support of Trump's general efforts to help America, how can you tell me that Trump is this big bad shadowy figure of a boogeyman? It's not adding up. It's just not adding up at all. Let's see. There's a lot of different reasons, but I think I've named a good amount of reasons why I support him. And y'all gotta, in my opinion, you know, everybody, like a lot of these people are seeing things through the lens of race. Our entire reality is not based off of race. You know, with my personal experience, a lot of the people, and this is not all the people, but a lot of the people that I've dealt with that were, I guess you could consider, were bad people. They literally lived their life through that type of perspective, seeing everything through race, as opposed to looking at everything through a lens of, let's say, results. So let's see if I can find anything else before I get off this video. But oh, another thing I'll say, I guess this is kind of a personal thing for me, but I really like how Trump, he really does say God bless America, and he believes in it. There are times before he has a meeting, he may pray, and a lot of people, for some reason they just have this belief that Christianity in and of itself is like a sign of weakness. There's this misperception that you being a Christian, you may be weak. You deserve to be poor. You deserve to be struggling. You deserve to be ridiculed, put under a microscope, and basically everybody else judges you like they're God. But they refuse to kind of look through the mirror and say, wait, I'm judging this such and such Christian person, yet I've never opened a Holy Bible in the first place, nor have I ever spoke to such and such Christian, but I'm already having these preconceived notions about them, and their failed expectations. Um, I believe in religious liberties, and our current president supports religious liberties, and people should have the right to express, um, the religion, if it may it be Christian or anything else. So censoring people's religion, or having these negative biases, it really doesn't help at all. But like I said, I put most of the blame on the media. It's really the media that's going gung ho. They're trying to move heaven and earth to paint Trump as, basically this antichrist figure, and it's just ridiculous. Because I mean, if Trump was such a bad guy, why would he go to H.W. Bush's funeral? Despite whatever differences, political opinions that they may have had, he had the respect, to at least honor the man's legacy and to show up at his funeral. So I mean, what's wrong with that? You know, I can't see anything wrong with his approaches, with his actions so far. And I mean, one thing, this goes back to the media. As much as Trump was, he was really respectful in showing up to H.W. Bush's funeral. Um, there are people in the media that, took it upon themselves to attack Trump even still, like Joy Behar from The View. And long story short, this pissed off Meghan McCain, and this is McCain's daughter. So, and this is McCain, who had just passed away very recently. And when he passed away, the media went gung ho again to attack Trump. So she was already tired from, I believe she was already tired from seeing what happened with her father's funeral. And she didn't want to see it happen with H.W. Bush's funeral, but Joy Behar, went on a mission, to drag Trump's name through the mud. And Meghan McCain, she reacted and said she didn't want to hear it. Can't blame the woman, because I believe American people are just getting tired of this. It's like anything, every single breath he takes, every single step he makes, like every single thing he does. If Trump blinks his eye, then it's the apocalypse. It's the end of the world, and Trump deserves to be locked up. This is how far the media has gone, to trash our current president. And it's funny because during the whole Obama administration, they were saying he was like, they were like kissing, they were licking his toes, they were like bowing down to him like he was royalty, like he could never do any wrong. And come on, like, nobody's perfect. None of us are Jesus Christ. None of us. So the double standard is 1000% obvious. And even certain people in the liberal, media, like Meghan McCain, with H.W. Bush's funeral, it's just they're so sick and tired of it, And the media, they're literally shooting themselves in the foot. They're looking horrible, looking bad, and you know how you've heard the silent majority. Well, a lot of Americans might not put it out there, but there's a huge, growing silent majority that's just literally sick and tired of the media. And we're at a technological advanced uh, uh, point in history where people don't need the cable to check out their news. We can just go around and search through our social media platforms, even if they're censored and biased. Um, and we can find out the truth, with a little bit of research. So, I mean, that's just kind of how it is. That's just my opinion on it. That's why I support Trump because, you know, I'm seeing what he's doing. I'm seeing that he actually cares about Americans. And, a lot of people might disagree, but I see that, yeah, he even cares about these migrants that want to come up north. But at the same time, when a lot of them, and I can't remember the poll, but I think there was a poll that said, um, I don't know, like over 60% of them or whatever, they actually come in already having criminal records. Like, how is that a good thing? And a lot of these illegal immigrants, when they come, I think there was another poll that says like 65% of them end up using welfare. So, how are they contributing when you're sucking our welfare dry, stealing from the taxpayer dollars? Because, hey, everybody knows it's like an open secret. A lot of these illegals are paid under the table. So, people trying to act like, oh, they don't know, or, I mean, we're grown. Let's grow up. Let's go ahead and stop acting like little kids, you know what I'm saying? And just look at reality for what it really is. So, I mean, there's so many things that he's done. I like that he's coming up with a program to help in Africa, um, to let them basically get an economic footing, and it'll very much benefit all of us, and it'll benefit Africa, and they'll be able to prosper in ways they probably never prospered before. Um, Another thing is he got rid of the NAFTA deal, and this was a trade deal that was very harmful against America. It basically everybody was getting the upper hand, and America was getting screwed over money wise. So he signed a new law, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was a new deal between Canada and Mexico. And long story short, there's a more balanced trade policy agreement, and everybody's winning. So, I mean, there's just a couple reasons. Whoever might have left this note on the back of my truck, maybe you'll see my video. But, I mean, I can list you a whole bunch more. I mean, like, I literally have this link, and if I can find the link, I'll put it in the description section. But I think there's a list of like 290 achievements that Trump has done. So, but thanks for giving me a little bit of y'all's time, and y'all have a good day, and I'll see y'all again later.